Here about earlier in Shulchan Aruch we learned the concept of Hezek, She'eino, ניכר. Hezek, She'eino, ניכר means where a person causes his friend damage or any yid damage, but the item that he damaged you can't really tell, you can't really see it. So the item looks the same, but for some reason it's not worth the same value. And we brought a lot of different examples to it. And so today I'm going to speak about interesting shilas that I saw that is connected to the halacha of Hezek, She'eino, ניכר. The example that the Shulchan Aruch, that the poskim over here are talking about, somebody was baking matzahs. He works for a matzah bakery, and there are restricted things that you could use in the matzah bakery. Now, for example, the water that you pour into the matzah and to pour into the flour has to be water which is mayim shelanu, water that can't come straight out of the well because it's too cold, to whatever. It has to be left overnight to the temperature should be just right. The halacha Shulchan Aruch says specific water could be used to mix with the flour. So what happens in a matzah bakery where they ran out of water and one of the workers just wanted to get out quickly? They couldn't wait till they brought the mayim shalanu from wherever they store it. He poured in mayim shaloilanu, regular sink water he poured in. And because of that, when they found out, all the matzah that was baked is matzah from that dough is not high level kosher level matzah. So I'm very careful which words I'm using. Is it completely non-kosher or not? But the fact is, in Hilchas Pesach Siman Tov Nun Hey Siv Gimel, it says that you should have mayim shalanu. And the matzah bakery selling now is having a loss because they can't sell this as kosher lePesach matzah, high standard, because it's not mayim shalanu. But the guy who poured the water in says, well, you have a finished product. The matzah is the same. There's flour and water. It's a hezek she'eino ניכר. Does the person have to pay for the loss? Or do we say, since it's a hezek she'eino ניכר, he is exempt? So, one of the ways how to look at it is to compare this to a case that the Ramban mentions. The Ramban, he has a whole kuntris of dina de garmi, indirect damages. So he speaks about psulei shchita. Psulei shchita is, there's the Gemara, the famous halacha, what makes a shchita not kosher. The sheikh has to know how to do it perfectly. And if he did it a little, not based on the instructions that the Torah allows, even though the animal got killed, even though it's shechted, but because he did, for example, shihiyah, it took it too long, so that's stretching it, or he pressed it. You're supposed to cut it through. Ein v'shachat elo umashach. And this guy did it in a way that the Torah doesn't, the halacha doesn't allow. Shia and Andrasa is not a kosher shchita. So, nevertheless, the animal is dead. You have meat. The way the animal was shechted, you can't tell the heker. You can't tell the hezek. So the Ramban says, Mikol Mokim, nevertheless, chashiv hezek ניכר. The sheichet who shechts it in that way is considered a noticeable hezek, not a hezek she'eino ניכר. Why? Kivon de lo shachat karoi, since he didn't shecht the animal properly, it's just like he would have chopped off the head. And when he chops off the head, obviously the shchita was a hezek. So this guy who shechted but not doing it in a proper way is isser. So the same would be if you take water that's not allowed to be used for the matzah. The water, even before it comes in, is prohibited water. So you took that water, which is ניכר, and caused it to make matzah dough not kosher. So based on that Ramban, it might be considered a hezek ניכר. Another example the place can speak about: you hire somebody or the sefer that's being hired to write a mezuzah. Very nice, but there are limits, there are restrictions what's a kosher mezuzah, what's a mehuda mezuzah. So when the limits, that the things that you could see is a hezek ניכר, if he didn't do it properly. But there's a part of writing a mezuzah you can't tell if he messed up. What? He didn't write Hashem's name lishma. He didn't have proper kasav shaloi lishma. That would be considered a hezek ניכר according to the Mincha Shlema, because the bottom line is you took a writing and writing on the cloth. That writing is ניכר. The Chazon Ish, however, in Orach Chaim Siman Vav Sifkat Yudalid, speaks about somebody who writes a Sefer Torah. And again, by writing a Sefer Torah, you have to have proper kavanah when you're writing Hashem's name. And he didn't have the kavanah. He says you can't charge him as a mazik because it's a hezek she'eino ניכר. So you see that the Chazon Ish doesn't necessarily agree with this way of analyzing it. However, the guy who pours in mayim shaloi lanu might have another loophole, because it's in Shulchan Aruch when you talk about in Hilchas Pesach about the matzah that needs mayim shalanu. Over there we have a machlekes harishonim if matzahs were needed with water of shaloi lanu. Is it mutter or asur? So it's a suffix. It's a suffix. And suffix mazik is pater. However, from the other hand, since on the standard marketplace, we know you'll never be able to sell matzahs. That today's days, if you sell your niche is, you say your niche is like, my matzah is cheaper because I don't use mayim shalanu. It will never have a sales pitch. People won't buy it. There's no value to that. So maybe it does have a din of a mazik. A similar question comes up. Somebody who used his friend's tefillin, and you know the tefillin has to be ribua, has to be four-cornered. The corner has to be very noticeable. If any one of the corners gets a little rounded, chipped, it's a big problem. So in some place can talk about one who ruined his friend's tefillin, but he only ruined it that it's not as perfect as it should be. So because ribua b'tefillin, how perfect it has to be is a suffix. So over there, this question comes up too. This is a summary of some of the issues of hezek she'eino ניכר.